Are we
We are
live?
live. It's Chris here from History Dose. I'm the writer, narrator, researcher, brother of the artist, right here.
And I am Joe from History Dose. I am the artist, editor, and composer, and brother of the narrator.
Yeah, so we wanted to hop onto a live stream quickly today. It won't be a super long live stream, but connect with you guys. We'll open up the live chat. Ask us anything. I say AMA. I could put that on the front, but then I'm like, actually, don't ask me anything. Nothing politics, nothing super personal. But if there's something history related or episode related, go ahead and throw it in there.
Open up the live chat.
Yeah, start chatting, and
Let's see who's here.
So
Let's go.
People already. So two big ways to support the channel. If you like this channel, if you want to keep humans around on YouTube, Joe and I are a few of the handful of humans creating content on YouTube at the moment. Mostly it's just AI at this point.
Yeah, people accuse us. They'll be like, I know you're using AI script or AI voice or AI art. And it's like, we try hard to get one video out per month. like it's just our output of video should tell you it's just two people.
Yeah, no, and we did our last live stream was over the course of an hour, 40 minutes, Joe creating something from scratch using his stylus to draw in Photoshop. So that was fun. That was actually a Peruvian painting. But anyway, you can support the channel, support humans with super chats. Yeah, if you want us, that you're more likely to get your question answered if you do a super chat, and it just helps us out. Or just join the Patreon. I just put the link in the description to join the Patreon. There's actually it's like 13 or 14 bonus videos up on there, and then a bunch of other stuff. So I give like monthly newsletters and stuff like that, and then we have Discord and stuff like that. So Discord only for $1. These are some of the higher tiers. We have our Khan tier, Chinggis Khan, Benissimo and Kevin Lee, and then we got a bunch of people at the leader tier. Acknowledge them, show them your love. They help keep the channel alive. And let's jump into it. So yeah, we were just going to talk about the Peru trip. Whether or not you want to go. It's actually also going to be like educational. So we'll be looking at some cool stuff. You'll see some stuff that maybe you didn't know was in Peru or something. Maybe you'll learn something about the Inca Empire. So yeah, let's jump
it looks like we have some Peruvians in the live chat already.
Yeah, we okay, Mike Selmer says he's trying to go to Lima in April. Where are y'all going? So most of our tour is going to be around Cusco. I'll show that. Actually, yeah, our tour is going to be around Cusco. Joe and I, it's like much cheaper to fly to Lima than it is to Cusco. And so we're like, maybe we'll like double up, and it wouldn't be an official part of the tour, but if people want to come early and join us in Lima, it'd be in September, a little bit before the tour starts. Might do 1 or 2 days in Lima.
Yeah, there's some cool ruins there and nice parts of the city we could check out.
History of Peru blog. Nice. I'm Peruvian, going to be going back to Peru for my 5-year anniversary with my family next year, or else I'd be going on your trip. Nice. Yeah, maybe you could lead the tour if you were already there. Anyway, okay, let's jump into it. Like I said, whether you think you're on the fence about going or you're like, I cannot make September next year, this will be kind of a cool stream. There's just cool pictures of stuff, and we'll look at some of Joe's art of stuff that you would have seen in the Inca episodes if you watch those, and then what they look like today. So it's kind of interesting. All right, so here's a few things we'll see. This is basically in chronological order. So we're going to start out in Cusco. We'll see Inca ruins within the city, and there's a marketplace there as well. So a couple of things I wanted to show. We have, this was of our Inca Fall video, and then we combined the Inca Rise and Inca Fall videos and added in some bonus scenes to make that entire history of the Inca Empire that we released about a month and a half ago. But yeah, I mean, so this is a cool place. This is called Coricancha. This is like the sacred temple in the middle of Cusco, which was the Inca capital. And so this was a scene that's attested to in the primary sources, where you have these Spaniards going to Cusco, before they've actually even conquered Cusco, but they've captured Atahualpa, who was going to be the Inca emperor. And so they have him captive, so they could kind of like keep the rest of the Inca Empire at bay, because they're holding their king hostage. And they go and check these places out. So this is one of the places. Coricancha was this thing that just blew their minds when they went there. So they saw Cusco. There were like these paved roads. It was all planned out and almost like a modern city in that way. And of course, Cusco is between these mountains up in the Andes. And one of the details that comes to it is like you kind of have this temple at the top of this terrace structure. And then you had these really smooth, towering stone walls that were said to be topped with plates of gold along the top. And that's still there today, besides the fact that the
No place of
Spaniards
gold. Yeah.
took the gold and they took as much gold and silver as they could
But
find.
you can use your imagination when we go visit it.
So today, this is what the Spaniards built the church and convent of Santo Domingo there. So this doesn't at all look like it, but the foundation is still that Coricancha. So you can see that wall right there, big sort of like smooth sloping wall, and it's on this raised platform. So that is what Joe's depicting in this. Of course, doesn't have the gold anymore. And then in the interior, you still have those Inca structures. So you have this really beautiful stonework that's just like each stone is so flush up against each other, and it's trapezoidal and stuff, and it's just very impressive. The other thing that we'll see, so Coricancha is in Cusco. The other thing that we'll see in Cusco is called Sacsayhuaman. So sometimes it's referred to as a fort, because when they were fighting the Spanish, it basically became a fort, but it might not have really been a fort most of the time. But it was kind of like the settlement and temple, probably ritual area that was up top. And so this was Joe's depiction of it in our video.
They're like building it at this point, so you see there's still some walls that aren't completely fortified, and
Yeah.
they would have like a group of men, kind of similar to the Egyptians. They would put logs beneath the stones, and you could kind of roll it across, valleys and stuff. So, yeah, this is what it did look like. Oh, this is Dan.
Dan's coming on the trip.
He was on our Egypt trip, and we loved
Gonna
him
be
so
fun.
much, and he loved us so much that he's coming on the Peru trip. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, Dan, stick around, because you'll see some cool stuff. So this was
You still here,
Sacsayhuaman.
Dan?
I believe it was commissioned by Pachacuti. I think that's the thinking, who was the first Inca emperor, probably becoming emperor in the 1430s, and then continued construction under his son Tupac Yupanqui, who's a great conqueror. You can see, they're pulling these massive stones into place, and check out what it looks like today. So you can see, I mean, look how enormous these stones are. You
Yeah,
have
look at
these
the
several
painting next to it.
terraces of stones. And the thing that blows people's minds, and there are different theories. As far as I've read, there's different theories of how it was built, but regardless of where you fall in those theories, basically they were splitting rocks in these fault lines that they could find, and these enormous boulders that were tons and tons. They weighed tons and tons. But you had this thing that the remarkable aspect is that you have them flush up against each other. And there are different theories, but no commonly accepted way of how this happened, because you can imagine how difficult it would be to have it flush up against it, because you'd almost have to have the other stone suspended above or touching it. And so then you have a perfect angle that just fits together like that. It would be kind of tough with modern technology too. And they're figuring out how to do this. And this is from a Spanish conquistador chronicler at the time, who recorded a bunch of the traditions kept by the Incas. And they had told him that Pachacuti, about not quite a century before, but in the previous century, had ordered 2,000 men from across the Inca Empire to come and build Sacsayhuaman. And you can definitely see it's this really grand structure This is what it looks like
Yeah.
zoomed out.
So you
So you
can
can
see
see
it's
it.
actually not too different than how it looked in our painting depiction.
Yeah, so it doesn't have those structures at the top, but we still have archaeology of like
Yeah.
what that tower looked like. And
I will say this, the cool thing about
uh,
Peru and the Inca civilization in general, um, is, it's only been several hundred years since the fall of the Inca Empire. So unlike other ancient civilizations, we haven't had thousands of years for a lot of stuff to be crumbled away and lost to time. So you can still see basically the same exact structure and format of these amazing like megalithic structures.
yeah, another one. This just blows your mind. I mean, that's the stuff. If I don't have those zoomed in pictures, I'm like, I feel like it doesn't get this
Yeah,
across of how insane these are. And that these are some examples. I believe all these are around Cusco, but just as
amazing
I'm talking
stonework.
about the like perfect stonework, you could have something with all these different sides, these strange angles, or sometimes like almost these perfect rectangle angles, and they're kind of like polished into place and flush up against each other. Now, not all the stonework is like that. So you can see this is an example. I believe this is at Machu Picchu, and you
Hmm.
can see kind of some stonework that's probably a little bit looser on the left side, and then you have that archway that kind of has the more like strict trapezoidal lines. So then, yeah, another thing that we're going to do, I think this is a little bit after we
It's
finish
like
most of our Cusco stuff.
it's like day two, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. We're going to the Amaru community. So these are Quechua locals who weave textiles in the traditional ways. So these are like probably things that have been done for 1,000 years plus
hmm,
in this way, whether it's alpaca, llama fur, and yeah, I mean, you could get yourself a little poncho or something or a
I'm
bag.
getting a poncho. I
These colorful things.
the um the cool thing with like these little cultural visits is that was one of my highlights of the our group trip to Mongolia, among many other things. But like part of it was going into a yurt and seeing how these people lived, and them, giving us some traditional food and stuff. That was really cool to be able to like communicate with people who just feel like they're part of a completely different world, and you wouldn't have met them otherwise. And um, so I'm really excited to do this as well.
And when we say Quechua, that refers now to the indigenous people of Peru, but and a number of them do speak the Quechua language. So the Quechua language predates the Incas, and it's possible that the Incas didn't originally speak it, but it became the lingua franca across the empire. And that's possible that it used to be thought that the Incas spread the Quechua language, but it may have been the case that they did some of that, but they might have also picked Quechua as their kind of royal Inca language because it was already widely spoken. Regardless, Quechua is the most widely spoken indigenous language in the Americas. So you have these languages like Navajo or Nahuatl that have a number of speakers that are these are pre-Columbian languages that people still speak today. Um, and Quechua in total has around 10 million speakers who are still speaking this pre-Columbian language. So it's pretty cool. Okay, let's see. All right, so the next one, this was a scene in our video at Ollantaytambo, which is a royal estate, now sort of a town. Um, and this is basically in 1536, the Incas have kind of they're being run by like a puppet emperor who's under Spanish domination. And now that same emperor, Manco Inca, is trying to rebel and take back his empire, take back the empire of his ancestors. And so he gathers as they're sieging or laying like a siege of Cusco, and the Spaniards are stuck in there. They gather their armies at this place north of Cusco called Ollantaytambo, So this was a scene of like this varied Inca army, even some people from the rainforest who have their bow and arrow and feathers in their hair, um, gathered at Ollantaytambo, and they ward off the Spanish attack. And you can still go to Ollantaytambo today. So it's a town. There's a town right under these big terraces, and yeah, 20,000 Inca warriors fought off the Spaniards that were trying to break the siege and capture Manco Inca, the rebel emperor, if that's what you might call him.
And if you guys just notice with all these locations as well, how beautiful they are. I mean, they're teeming with history, and that's a big part of it. Is like um, knowing a bit of the history before you go there. It makes it a little more special. But I mean, even if you don't know all the history, it's absolutely stunning vistas, and of course, our tour is a history tour, so you'll be getting the history as we go visit site by site.
All right, the next place, as we are making our way towards the big highlight of the trip, which is Machu Picchu, we actually are staying, I think, before and after the Machu Picchu tour, but before at Aguas Calientes, hot waters, before the ascent to Machu Picchu. So it is like this beautiful little town tucked between these mountains as you're climbing toward Machu Picchu, and there's
Yeah,
kind of these jungle forests around there.
it doesn't look real.
Yeah,
It's
and
like out of
why
Avatar.
are there hot waters here is because you have these thermal pools that are just naturally warm and you can hang out in. So you can
So yeah,
go.
you can see in like the shadow of Machu Picchu, you can kind of just take a nice hot bath, and it's yeah, that it
People
just
said you can
looks
hear
beautiful.
monkeys in the distance and stuff like that. And I don't know that I'm just thinking about that night, and I'm like, I feel like that even before Machu Picchu will be a highlight of the trip. You
Yeah,
know, grab a drink and get ready for it. Another hotel.
beautiful mountain views.
Yeah. And then finally, not finally, but at last, Machu Picchu. This was a royal estate where a number of people lived, built by Pachacuti, the great first emperor of the Incas. And yeah, I mean, what's more to say? You have these Inca roads that you're climbing up there. You got your big mountain, you got clouds floating by, you got llamas everywhere. Um, this
Yeah,
stuff is just going to blow your mind. I mean, at the very least, there's your new profile picture.
it's kind of crazy. Just some of these images. You're like standing above mountains. It's just insane to see. Um, I've I remember hearing someone talk about they had gone to go see the pyramids as well, and they said for some reason it's like even though Machu Picchu is not as old and you could argue like it's not as you don't have these giant pyramids, but like when he was there, he's like there was this sort of like um so like this vibe you get from it that just felt way more magical. Maybe there were less people there trying to sell you fake Sphinx statues or something. I don't know, but um, yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to be a very incredible moment.
Right. Moving on. There's I think a normal English person would say moray, but it's probably more like morai in
Yeah,
Spanish. But these are an Inca era terrace complex used for agriculture. And it's just this beautiful place in between these hills and mountains. And it's just this circular, enormous complex. I don't know, probably be a very relaxing, cool thing to do after Machu Picchu. And then let's see here. And then the Maras salt pans. So these, since ancient times, have been used to collect salt for a variety of purposes, including for seasoning your food. No, the Incas had popcorn, so it is possible they put popcorn on their or they put salt on their popcorn, but they did not have butter. So had to wait for the meeting of the two hemispheres of the world.
Yeah, movie theaters were completely changed after
Um, yeah,
that.
so I mean, these are like colors. There's like pink and orange and white salt pan, so that's going to make for some really cool views. And again, pretty much, I don't even need to keep stressing it, but throughout Peru, it's going to be like tucked in between these mountains because that's pretty much everywhere around Cusco. A couple of overview things. All right, are you worried that you don't know the history enough? No, you don't need to know the history. So it's going to be designed by me, Joe, and we'll have a local guide who, is a Peruvian person who knows the history, who knows all of these sites. So we have our own interest in the Incas, and have read a bunch of books and depicted them in this or that way. But it's also cool having people who are on the ground, experienced. A lot of these people have led dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of tours with good reviews. These are the people that are sort of vetted to lead these groups.
Yeah, and it's not a it's not an obligation that you really need to know a lot of history about the region. On our Egypt and Mongolia trip, we had people who weren't really adept in the history of either Egypt or Mongolia, but they saw images from there. They knew a little bit about the culture, and they just thought it looked amazing, and they learned a ton on the trip as well. And I mean, Dan can attest the Egypt trip was its own history lesson, and even Chris and I learned a lot on that trip too.
Yeah, and I don't know, it makes it much more interesting too because people are bringing in their own reference points. So sometimes Joe and I, when we went to Egypt, we knew where one of the murals or one of the carvings was. That the tour guide, it didn't immediately occur to him. He was, oh, what are you referring to? Because he knew the site, but he was like, oh, were you talking about this or that? And I was like, I led him there because Joe and I had depicted and looked at so many layouts of this place that I knew what the temple looked like, you know, 4,000 years before. And I was like, yeah, it should be on this side of this sacred lake. And there it was.
Yeah,
And so it is
and
cool. But we're learning so much too. And so both of the tour guides we've had on our trips have just been utterly amazing.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, so I mean, you can have you're going to have an amazing time. You're going to learn a ton, whether or not you're going in with a ton of requisite knowledge. If you want requisite knowledge, watch our entire history of the Incas video before the trip, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, that looks amazing. This building, they actually built that, and most of that stuff we're going to go see.
yeah.
Dan is saying so much history. He's talking about the Egypt trip.
He was on our
Trip.
Egypt trip.
So much history I had no clue about. It was hard to retain all of it, but all credit goes to Hanny, our tour guide. Absolute beast. Nice. He was. Yeah, and even if you were somehow on this live stream and subscribe to History Dose and you hate history, it's going to be one of the most beautiful places you've ever been
Yeah,
to. So
just
it's just Middle Earth.
if you're just listening right now, uh, open up your phone and just look at the screen. That's not Photoshop. That's not AI. These are literal photos just taken by tourists to the area, and it's insane. Like, I mean, I've said before, I love Egypt. Egypt was really cool getting to see all the archaeological sites, the temples, Temple of Karnak, the pyramids. Everything was amazing, but there's not a lot of like postcard vistas when it comes to like natural environment in the Cairo area. Um, and just looking up Peru, it's like it's hard to find a place that looks not like a fantasy world. When you're in like that Sacred Valley area, you're just like, oh, turn to my left. Okay, that's Skyrim. Turn to my right. That's Middle Earth. Okay, and it looks so stunning, and I'm really excited to just fly in and have that sort of like I'm being dwarfed by my environment moment.
I also think it's just cool. It's a good feeling when you're in January right now and you're like, what am I going to do this year? What's my trip this year? and to know you kind of have this stress-free adventure out in September, because you're gonna end up um, you're gonna end up with a crew of people who love history, and the itinerary is set. You just show up.
Oh yeah.
All the transportation within the country is set. You trust your tour guide. You trust that there's people who care about the subjects that you're going on, and
Dude, both trips were
yeah,
so flawless. It was you're if you have travel anxiety, you get railroaded on this trip. You show up, yeah, the transportation is handled, the hotels are handled, the booking for all the events are handled, and your tour guide will tell you when, like, where to go, and he'll even bring you to the places, and it's just it's so easy. And a big part of that too is just the group. Like, for whatever reason, both groups in Mongolia and Egypt have just been amazing people and friends to this day. We still, will talk and message each other all the time, like on a weekly, if not daily basis, talking to some of these people. And even Dan in here, like we will send like Instagram memes to each other and stuff. Um, and there's
sharing
something
memes a
like,
lot.
yeah, yeah, okay, this goes into the next slide. I guess if you want to
Yeah, I
go.
mean, you have your adventure. You are kind of immersed in history. You meet a bunch of people, I think, with a lot of the same interests as you. We're not people, I feel like if you go on a normal tourist trip, like a group tour, you're going to run into some people that are like, they've never heard of the Incas. Is that like the Aztecs or something? Or you have, parents dragging their kids along and their kids don't care at all about this. This is, tends to be a bunch of people from the same age group just hanging out, and all those history rants where you kind of wanted to talk about whether this pharaoh was the greatest pharaoh or not, or that trip that you took one time and you saw this cool museum in Warsaw or something. Like, you meet a bunch of people that want to talk about the same things. And so here are some trips from Mongolia. You got Genghis Khan on the right side, and then Big Pyramid, the Great Pyramid right there with our group. Yeah, I remember in Mongolia we had these like late night talks, staying up late,
Stargazing.
looking at the stars. You make these little inside jokes. There's, I think, with sometimes with the chaos of traveling too. I mean, this cuts down on so much chaos, but maybe you're walking through the city, or there's somebody trying to get you to buy something, and they form all these little moments and jokes, and you learn about people's personalities and stuff like that, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is so much fun because it is kind of like an instant camaraderie, right? Right. Probably from the get go with the first dinner, and you're meeting everyone, and everyone's pretty like minded, and then from then on out, it is very much it is like a fellowship sort of feeling. Like we're all going to get together. We're from different backgrounds, different states, even countries. Some people were international, and we're just going to start relating to each other. We're going to maybe get a drink at night together. um, it really is like it's one of the best parts of our trips is that. I mean, we've
Oh
only done
yeah,
two,
I
but
mean, yeah, and
I
you just think
I
about
love some
people
of
of
the people
different.
on these trips.
Yeah, like there was a point in the Egypt trip where we kind of made it. We made it to Luxor, which is a city kind of like midway through Egypt, going down south from the Cairo region, and it's still on the Nile. And the hotel we had then had a pool that was like right on the banks of the Nile. And so
Yeah, it
there's a
was
point where
beautiful.
we were just like sipping beers at sunset on the Nile after like on one of those like reclining chairs after taking a swim. And
Yeah,
we're just hanging out chatting. And it's like,
with a couple
you
different
know,
guys. One
a
from
week ago,
Mongolia, one from Ireland, and we're just all buddies drinking
yeah, a
Sakara
week
beers
ago,
on
I
the
was
Nile.
in like freezing Maine, living your normal life. And it's like somehow I'm on the banks of the Nile sipping a beer and chatting with these guys. And yeah, we're from all over the world. There's a guy from Mongolia and Ireland, and a couple Americans and Canadians. And you end up just bonding with these people. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we
can't.
always make these big group photo albums. So then you can kind of just reminisce. And, a lot of
Yeah,
people will stay in touch. People have visited each other who went on the trips. Um, outside of the trips. But yeah.
Yeah, and I will say like the any travel anxiety or anything that you have just drops away when you're on a history dose group tour because like I don't know, there's something magic about the camaraderie where it is kind of almost therapeutic and you like the real world, the outside world, all your worries, your bills, whatever, they just don't exist for that week or so. Um uh yeah, Dan in the chat saying the night where we were just chilling by the pool is one you never forget. And yeah, that's true. That was just a really awesome night. And yeah, a lot of moments like in Mongolia, there's like a night we were all stargazing, and someone put on like just this beautiful flute music on this speaker, and we were just like talking. People just talking about their life, getting emotional and stuff. And hey, you don't need to be part of that if you don't want to get a heart to heart with anyone. It's not obligated. It's just we start building a camaraderie, and it's really nice. And yeah, I'm excited to. Looks like we're probably going to have some old faces on this trip from previous trips and some new ones on this Peru trip, and it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, and the other thing is what we were noting when we were on the trip is that time passes so
Oh
slowly
yeah,
when you're on the trip, in the sense that you're doing so much. Not only are you probably getting up at like 5 or 6 a.m. to beat the crowds at these sites, but you're jet lagged anyway, so the times are just arbitrary. But you are seeing all these things. You're going to all these different places. You're making all these really distinct memories of. I just went in Saladin Citadel, and then we saw this pyramid, and then in the middle of the day we ventured out to try to go find a restaurant to go to, and then we ended up seeing this other obelisk or whatever.
yeah.
And then you're 4 days in, and you're like, it feels like I've been here for 2 weeks. Like I've done so much, and I can remember every distinct moment.
And then
And
the last couple days, you like loathe it ending. You're like, I want
yeah,
to keep on hanging out with these people.
you end up feeling closer to the people than to like coworkers that you've known for 2 years, because you're like, you just experienced something enormous and memorable with somebody, and it's kind of like only the people on this group can understand it, and all the inside jokes and the group chat and memes that you're sending and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're a
Yeah,
history nerd, if you like hiking, or you like beautiful vistas, or you want to experience what it's like to be in this indigenous empire that, in my opinion, is very often underrated. You
yeah,
know,
dude,
um,
it is. It's the Roman Empire of South America. It's the Roman Empire of the Americas. It's insane. They had aqueducts. They had a highway system. They had what was it, 25,000 miles of roads.
yeah,
They had military storage houses. It was incredibly complex, and it was just an enormous empire. It's going to be insane that we get to walk through those ruins and walk in those places that the Incas did.
yeah. Dan just doing some reminiscing. It is, yeah, it is an
Yeah,
instant bond.
I remember that last dinner, our last supper, um, and it was just like a dinner in Egypt where we were at this really nice restaurant having some amazing food. I'm sure the food's going to be amazing in Peru too. But then we just kind of went around the table talking about reminiscing about what was our favorite parts, and just hearing some people speak and just saying like, um, this was awesome for me. This was like therapeutic for me. I was, I was nervous, I was scared, but then like everything was great, and got to meet new friends and stuff. Um, and I'm not just saying this in like a trite way or to sound cliche or try to tug at your heartstrings, but like it literally is sort of like a fellowship sort of feeling that you get with these people. It's really cool. And I will say this, like when Chris and I started doing these group trips, I say these group trips, we've done two. So, but like when we were, I think we initially started like doing Trova trip a few years ago, and then we did the Mongolia trip. I was like kind of scared, and I'm sure Chris was scared too because we had never done anything like this, and we didn't know how difficult it was going to be. Um, but I was like, I remember just saying to myself, like, Well, it's not like you can kind of like, you know, go back and forth about like, should we do this? I don't know if I want to do this. I have to go across the entire world to get there. I'm not sure. And then I just like realize like it's not like I'm gonna spend 7 days in Mongolia, this beautiful country with amazing people and amazing culture, the land of the Mongols, and then at the end go, nah, no, that wasn't worth it. That sucked. I should have just stayed home and watched more Netflix and played video games. I should have saved my money to, yeah, but buy a couple more video games or something. And that was the same thing with like Egypt. It's like, are we going to come back from this trip to Egypt, seeing all these amazing temples, like 3 to 4,000 year old structures, and go, yeah, that wasn't worth it. Yeah, no, it wasn't worth it. Um, and so that's what I'm feeling with Peru. This time I'm not hesitant at all. I just know it's going to be as amazing as the past 2 trips.
Yeah. So, what should people do if they're interested? Well, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat right now. We'll be
Yeah,
around for a few more minutes.
so we have something to do, and we're not just staring at the camera. I mean, we can try to talk about something.
Yeah. History by holiday. Can't wait to see the historical camaraderie for myself. Sounds like it's going to be an insane trip. Yeah,
Oh, I think you
we're
were
happy to
on
have you.
Instagram, right?
Yeah. So, right, you can just scroll down a little bit. I have joined the Peru trip. There's the link there. So a lot of the stuff I was showing today that I just brought up in this live stream, Ollantay Tambo, Coricancha, all these things are mentioned in it. Machu Picchu, all of these amazing places we're going to see. So that's listed out in terms of what specific day that we're doing those things. And so, yeah, it's September 14th. And yeah, I mean, all you need to do right now is put in 25%. So 28.45. So it's $100 off if you book right now, or
Yeah, you can
$150
cancel
off.
with
Sorry,
the full
if you
refund if
grab one of these
something.
early bird spots.
Yeah, if something comes up and you realize, oh shoot, I had to do this work thing, or oh,
But
a family
before we
emergency,
reach those
whatever.
8, but anyway, so it'd
Yeah,
be
you can.
$711 right now to lock in your spot. Now you have a spot on the trip. And then you'd have until I believe June to pay the rest. And so you can just sort of pay as you go, add more money to the account as it comes in. But yeah, put in $700 right now, and you're pretty much locked in. And yeah, it'd be
Chris,
very exciting.
what are you most excited for? Is there like one or two things that you're most
It's going
eager
to
to
be
see?
Machu Picchu, but the other thing, the Sacsayhuaman, I think is just so insane. Like the size of those stones, the fact that it's not really highlighted on the, we don't make the itineraries on the trip, and I'm like, I would be highlighting this more. I mean, look at this. This is just
Yeah.
breathtaking. So yeah. Okay. So Cameron is already in South America. It won't be too difficult to get to Peru. He actually hasn't been. Yeah, I've been to Argentina. I lived there for 6 months when I studied abroad, and that was amazing. And then we took a trip to like the northwest part of the country, Salta and Jujuy, and that was really beautiful. And it, I didn't even really realize at the time, but it's a very Inca place. There's people. I mean, I tried llama there. There's villagers walking around with llamas, and all these little towns tucked between these mountains. And at one of the sites, they had these Inca ruins. The problem was, as me and the other travelers were trying to go up there, it's like me and two other friends. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and my blood started getting low. I'd say if you go less than like 40, you technically can pass out. I've never passed out, but as I'm going up, I'm like feeling kind of low. So I'm eating some sugar, feeling a little bit more low. And on one side of me, there's this enormous cliff that's just all cactus. So if I pass out, like, I don't know if I'm going to die, but
Would have
I
ruined
might
the
have been
trip.
able to survive the fall, but I would have wished that I died. And then I like climbed back down, ended up testing my blood, and I was like 23. So I definitely could have passed. I was the closest I've been to passing out. And so I didn't get to see the Inca ruins. So here we are. I'm getting close. Cameron also wants us to do a video on Colombian history. Yeah, give us some tips on Colombian history if there's a certain period or people or civilization that you want us to cover. Yeah, some altitude. Yeah,
Yeah, we won't
we'll
be
probably be
doing like
chewing on
the
coca leaves.
yeah, we won't be doing the like whatever the longest trail is, the longest hike to Machu Picchu. We will be doing a hike, a shorter one. Um, but yeah, I guess that's the technique, chewing on cocoa leaves.
Yeah, coca leaves. Okay. Yeah, so I have the link right there. If you have any
Any more?
questions,
Any
feel free
questions?
to drop a comment. And
I guess
anything else,
last
Joe?
call for live chat questions. I guess the thing I'm most excited for this trip is probably yes, Sacsayhuaman, Machu Picchu, of course, um, and yeah, just to you know, I sound like a broken record, but just excited to just hang out with a crew of people again in a strange new world.
Yeah, some of it, like, I feel like we could go to North Dakota and hang out in a cornfield with these people, and we'd end up having a decent time.
Yeah, we got on a reunion call with the Egypt
Probably be
crew,
cheaper.
a few days ago or last week sometime, and uh, Chris just proposed, we could just do like a cheap trip somewhere, even in America somewhere, just so we can hang out together. Because it is like, I don't know, it is for some reason, if you just spend a week with someone in a really, awesome new environment and you're just bouncing around to new places, it does feel like you spent months with them. It is like I remember watching the Lord of the Rings um, trilogy, the appendices. That's It's like a 4-hour documentary on how they made the movies, and at the end, it was like really bittersweet because a lot of them are like, I spent about a year or so with these people in New Zealand, seeing these beautiful places, traveling around. We had like, days where we were tired and sleep deprived, and then days where we're super excited about this, so eventful. And by the end of it, you're like, I feel like I'm losing a family member, and not to be dramatic, it doesn't feel like you just lost a family member at the end of these trips, but it is something special. I mean, even for like someone like myself, I do sometimes have a little bit of social anxiety, and it's just so easy on these trips. I don't know what it is. It's just it's so easy to connect with people.
I think it helps too that there's kind of always a topic of conversation to go to, which is history. All that
Yeah,
stuff that your parents probably want you to stop talking when you tell them about how important the Crimean War was, uh, or I don't know, whatever. Um, that you find a bunch of people that want to hear about that and have some shared interest. They're like history dose. Some of them I feel like are just tag along, or they're just friends of somebody else, and it's like they kind of know a little bit about history dose, but it's not a big deal.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, you're just hanging out. Um, Surprised after the Jamaica video, you guys didn't go there. There's a lot of cool history. To do something like that, there might be Jamaica trips probably through that same Trova Trip website. We probably have to use a third party and customize our own trip, or just work with the tour company to really customize it, because
It might be like a yoga retreat sort of
yeah, most of
default trip
those, like,
for the tropical ones.
if you see anything on those websites, those group trips to like Indonesia or Thailand or Jamaica or Bermuda, those are not going to have anything to do with history at all. I mean,
Mm.
it's going to be it's going to be yoga on the beach and meditation and trying the local cuisine, which sounds fun. But if there's temples there, or there are remnants of, I think like for our Jamaican one, We covered maroon towns. You can still go to those same maroon towns that spawned from these enslaved people who ran away and resisted the British and were so good at surviving that they kind of existed in these mountains. And it's like, that is not, there's no sandals resort in maroon nanny town or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you have to make that trip yourself. So for some of those ones, we have thought about some episodes or trips that we could customize and take a country that isn't normally the subject of a history tour. Because it's so easy to find a history tour of
Rome.
even Boston or
Yeah.
Rome or London, and there's not, as far as I'm aware, there's not um, at least very popular history tours of these places that also tend to be popular for being resort or vacation sites. So that would have to come from us, but that's a pretty good suggestion. So, all right, let's see. History by Holiday is going this April. Sweet.
Going to
Jamaica.
Jamaica. Yeah.
Yeah. And
History by
then,
Holiday. Were you the one on Instagram considering the trip?
yeah, I think he was saying he's going. He's coming to Peru.
Oh, okay.
Cameron's girlfriend is a historian that focuses on Colombian history. Yeah, just shoot us a message on our fan mail email.
Yeah, or you
goes
can
straight
even,
to us,
if you want to DM us on Instagram.
historydose@gmail.com.
Yeah, historydose@gmail.com. And yeah, if you want to talk to us on there, some people prefer the Instagram as well because you can have more of a direct message sort of conversation open. We have a couple of people on the Instagram talking about the Peru trip with us too. Just considering it and you know weighing like if they'll be able to get the time off and stuff. But yeah, a lot of interest so far.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
no,
gonna go to Egypt. Oh yeah.
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
It'll be
I
one of
think
the most memorable trips of your life, and
we tend
we'll have a
to
good time.
the destinations we've chosen for group trips are so far apart from each other. It's like Mongolia, Egypt, and now we're going to Peru. It's like we went all the way on the other side of the globe and we're just kind of working our way back to the Americas.
Hmm.
But it's kind of cool because they're incredibly diverse too. Like if we did a Morocco trip right after Egypt, I heard Morocco's lovely, but it is, I heard, kind of like similar cuisine and culture and stuff too. So it is kind of cool that we're kind of diversifying different destinations.
Yeah. So just hit that link in the description to check out the itinerary, and right there you can just put 25% down, and you have now locked in your spot to come to Peru. Now you have something to look forward to for the rest of 2026. You have something really cool
Yeah.
to take pictures of, and you can meet
Yeah.
your fellow travelers. We'll make a group chat with everybody at Discord, so you'll feel nice and comfortable by the time we arrive. And then all of the hotels and travel within Peru, and the guides, and a number of the meals is going to be handled by this tour. So
You don't have
just
to worry
show
about
up,
any of
and
that.
now
Yeah.
you have this hassle-free thing of not saying like, oh, did you call the hotel manager so we can check in at this time or that? It's like, no, you put that on the guides, and they will handle it, and we just have a good time, and we have some cervezas by the thermal pools in the mountains, and you go have one of the best weeks of your lives.
Yeah, and that's something that was really nice about these past two trips is even if like you're having a stressful time in a certain period of the year, you're like, well, it's gonna be cool. I get to go to Egypt later in a few months, or I get to go to Mongolia in a few months. Um, and it is nice to have something to look forward to. And if you're on the fence about going, like we said, you can contact us at the email or in the comments or on our Instagram, and we'd be willing to even like open up a chat, a conversation, a back and forth. Um, so Yep, it's gonna be really fun, and I think you won't regret it. If you feel like you really wanna go, but you're thinking, "Oh, I don't know." Sometimes it's just like, just take the cannonball in, because you're not gonna get to the end of this week and go, "Man, that was one of the crappiest weeks of my life. I'm so mad I went on that trip." I trust you. We have not had a bad review for these trips. So,
5 stars.
I like to think we're pretty nice hosts too.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And until the next stream, so long.
Alright, adios.
See you.